What's the worst sex you've ever had? I'm just here to make sure I'm not somebody else's worst experience. I was but a young freshman in college, and upon finding out the girl I had lost my virginity to 6 months prior was cheating on me, I did some silly things. After about a week of drinking with the roommate and trying to get out of the funk, I met a girl 2 floors down, recently dumped, also drinking alone, and we just clicked. Looking back, it was obviously the alcohol, but I thought she was great. We keep drinking together, and at some point my roommate goes to bed, so we head down to her room, very drunk at this point, although she was much more than I. She starts to make out with me. I notice there is much more to tongue and saliva than I'm used to. I forge ahead, excited. She suggests we get in bed. I agree, happily. Then I notice she has a lofted bed, the kind where you put a couch or desk underneath, and then sleep on the top bunk. So we get up there, and there is not much room, maybe 1.5 feet to the ceiling, so we get naked, and handsy. She is very drunk. Then she says she wants to 69. I agree. Although I had reservations, I had never done it before. She, with not a little difficulty, flips around and mounts me. Not 2 minutes in, her head stops moving. I stop and listen, and she's snoring in the strangest way, almost like she had a dick in her mouth and had fallen asleep on it. So I tap her shoulder, say her name. Nothing. Then I lift her head off of my rapidly flacidating penis, being careful of the ceiling. Then, I attempt to remove myself from beneath her sleeping loins. Now, here's the thing. I wasn't a small guy. I worked out and such. Not huge but not tiny. And she was average size, but a runner. She had very large legs. So when I went to lift her, she hit the ceiling, and I couldn't get enough clearance to get out from under her. I ended up sleeping until she woke up, which was 9 hours later. How did you breathe? Did you use a pussy snorkel? More just embarrassing than anything, but my girlfriend had been teasing me all day by touching me, but never going further than that. By the end of the day she's all excited thinking it will be great sex with all of the build-up, but I feel like I could burst just thinking about it. Came in like 30 seconds. Dude. Next time laugh and say you were excited and then focus on her for a little while till your Johnson is ready again. If you're not using condoms, have her clean it off first. I totally do this all the time and it's not awkward at all. It can even be really nice. I had an asthma attack midway through sex with some random dude. I'm a woman. He was on top in missionary and I started gasping and trying to push him off me so I could get my inhaler. He starts saying, "Oh, you like that?" and went harder. He thought I was coming. I was not. I'm sorry, but this is hilarious as someone with asthma. So freshman year of college and I'm a virgin. My first girlfriend in college was actually the cutest girl I've dated. We start messing around and she wanted to move fast, which is fine by me. I'm wearing this V card like a scarlet letter. We start having sex and she's like, "Okay, so you can't make me come, so just let me do my thing for a minute and get off. Then I'll do you." I'm thinking, is sex supposed to be so formal? Whatever. Let's do it. 1 minute in, she forces me to sit still as she gyrates on my dick, with this intent look on her face like she's internally trying to fit the square peg to the square hole. And then she gets off. Then, once finished, she clenches her vagina on my dick super hard, and brags how she used to get her boyfriends off so fast. So I'll be done in like a minute. I acted like I was. This is how sex goes every time. I literally thought sex was just so shitty. One time I got drunk and was like, "F it, I'm gonna take her to Pound Town Eggplant and take control," and we bang for like 30 minutes non-stop. And I feel like a freaking porn star. She doesn't make a noise. And when I stop breathless, I meekly mutter yes, and she gets on top, does her voodoo rain dance on my dick for 30 seconds, gets off, and goes to bed. This was the first and only time I've broken up with a woman because of sex. Which is shitty because she was an amazing girl except for that specific thing. Which is huge, sadly. Voodoo rain dance on my dick. Favorite part right there. Bought some really expensive leather wrist and ankle restraints for my girlfriend. We have tied up before and she was really into it. We strapped her down and started getting freaky. Then out of nowhere she starts crying and shit. Like really upset. Turns out she hates being tied up and was just playing along before cause she wanted to make me happy. Worst feeling ever. Had a woman give me a blowjob with Pop Rocks. I initially thought it would be awesome. Had to have her stop because it felt like gravel rubbing against the head of my dick. Cosmo Man. Guy with huge awesome penis put it in me. Never thrusted once. Then pulled out immediately and came. Wouldn't have been so terrible if he at least went down on me. One of the girls I dated in college was very sheltered, and it sometimes led to some interesting situations. The first time we attempted sex, she tried to finger that area between my butt and my balls and managed to stab her index finger down onto my left testicle. And she had decently long fingernails. I nearly puked from the pain. Needless to say, I was completely done with anything sexual after all that, and we just watched TV the rest of the evening while I sat on the couch whimpering. The word you are looking for is taint. She tried to finger your taint. Medical term is perineum. Once had a girl sit on my penis and try to make her body vibrate while making the bzzz sounds of a vibrator. Yes, she was serious. We dated about a week and she did it several times until I asked her to stop. Her reply was, "Oh really? My ex told me to stop doing it because it made him come too quickly and he wanted to last." I replied with, "Oh, honey, she didn't get it." The classic pull back, thrust forward, and bend. Could not get back in the mood after that pain. Should have gone with the bend and snap. Always works. Hooked up with a girl on Halloween years ago. Took her back to my place and one thing led to another, and before you know it she's riding me reverse cowgirl on my bed. I'm having a hell of a time grabbing her ass. But apparently the moderate to severe drinking we had been doing earlier was impacting her GI tract, and my grabbing and kneading of her ass prompts her to unleash a watery torrent of diarrhea on my stomach. This would be bad enough, but the combined effects of realizing what just happened with the smell caused me to start vomiting. For some reason, my first impulse was to try and hold back the puke, because I was in my bed and didn't want to make a mess. Thanks, brain. But the whole debacle caused me to do much more than just a little heaving. As a result, the vomit forced its way not only out of my nose, but out of my tear ducts. Experience rating: 0/10. Story rating for the right audience: 10 out of 10. A little late to the party, but when I was in high school my brother's best friend and I decided to finally have sex after flirting for a couple years. I was 18 and he was around 22, so it was completely legal here in the USA, but the only problem was that we both lived at home and were never really alone. Our solution: drive up to the aqueduct during the night and in the truck. Well, he was a bigger fella, so the tiny back seat area of the truck was super cramped, and he reveled to me that he had lied about not being a Virginia and I was about to take his virginity. I'm pretty laid back, so I didn't care, but I was young and naive and never taken someone's virginity before, so I didn't realize that nerves could impede performance. So he never got hard, but he tried to jelly it in a couple times before some bright lights started us and the cops walked up and told us to get out. So in the tiny back seat of a truck with a big OL dude we're desperately trying to put our clothes on while the cops make a couple jokes about us. Then they pulled me aside and asked me if I was there against my will, and I managed to get out a meek no. And then like a light switch they hopped in their cruiser and told us through the window to buy a house so we could there, and drove off into the night. 2/10 sex experience, 8/10 cop experience. Please excuse all spelling and grammatical mistakes. I was sneak writing this at work on mobile. He had lied about not being a Virginia. Stupid South Carolina thinking they're Virginia and whatnot. Self-heating massage oils that read for external use only are not around with that warning label. Minute 1 great sex. Minute 2 that's a little warm. Minute 3 both of us curled up in a fetal position with ice packs on our junk. First girlfriend in high school that I had sex with. She was bisexual, but I thought she might just be a lesbian. Most times she would literally just lay on her back and not move. She refused to touch my dick. 90% of the time I couldn't even cum. The first time I did cum, in a condom, she panicked and told her parents that she thought she was pregnant. Relationship didn't last much longer. I think I married her. We were in my car after work near the woods. Halfway through, someone bangs on the window yelling, "What the f are you doing?" It was her ex-boyfriend. I got a disclaimer right off the bat: it's been a while. But that wasn't even the problem. He shaved his entire body and was just starting to grow back. Being a hairy fella, every inch of him was covered in needle-like stubble. Thank God it had been a while for him, because if it was any longer than the 20 seconds it was, I would have been bloody all over my body from his stubble rubbing against me.